Okay. All right. I'd like to call the meeting in order. This meeting of the Sugar Grove Village Board will be held as outlined in Public Act 101-0640, which waives the Open Meetings Act requirement that a physical quorum of elected officials be present to hold a public meeting in the event of a public health disaster declaration and a determination by the village president. Governor Pritzker issued a statewide disaster declaration on August 21st, 2020, and in response to President Sean Michaels' person meeting is not practical or prudent at this time. Okay, thank you all for being here. If you may stand, and Jen, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Conan?
Here.
Trustee Lindy? Here. Trustee Walter?
Here.
Trustee Haynes?
Here.
Trustee Cook?
Here.
Trustee Montalto?
Here.
And President Michaels?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. I'd like to open up the public hearing for 41W950 Prairie Street annexation special use, Firewood and Mulch. Any callers or anyone like to comment on that public hearing?
Hold on. So if any of the attendees on the line want to make comments, if they use the raise the hand feature, I don't see any right now. But we do have several emails that I will read.
Please do.
So I don't see any raised hands. So do you want me to go ahead and start reading the emails?
Yes, please.
Okay. Got to get my water ready. All right. So the first comment is from Diane Baker. We moved, and it's regarding Grove Farms. They all are. We moved into Mallard Point in 1994. We were the very first contract foundation home to be built. We moved here because of its small community feeling. Since being here, I like how Prairie Street has not changed. I am all for new businesses moving in. However, location is my concern. I've seen multiple accidents at 47 and Prairie, some with fatalities. So my concerns are added traffic that the business would create, airborne pollutants for people with allergies, parking, where are customers going to park? Size of the business. Every time I read about it, the owner has added an additional product/item. What kind of potential negative impact would this business have on our homes in Mallard Point, including Settlers Ridge? To me, all of the above are major reasons to look for a more appropriate home for this business. I wish the owner luck in his endeavors, however, not near my home. The next one is from John and Lori Chaley. To whom it may concern, I am writing to you concerning the proposed Firewood mulch business going in on Prairie Street across from the Mallard Point subdivision. I live kitty corner to this proposed business at 301 Mallard Lane, and my concern is the possibilities of this business growing to an even larger than proposed business. Right now, they are saying 15 semi-trucks a week coming in to dump mulch and firewood. That is already a lot of traffic in and out of that area, not to mention the traffic that will be coming in there from the patrons supporting the business. That is a gravel road going back to the business, and that will be creating a lot of dust in the summertime, along with noise from trucks and equipment loading the trucks up. I would have thought that I would have been informed of the proposed business long before this, but I was just told of this by my neighbor 2.5 weeks ago. Is there any guarantee that we have as a neighborhood that this will never develop into a landscape business, or that other businesses will not buy up the farm property and open up other businesses along that corridor? This is from Brandon Staker. I live in Mallard Point, and it has recently come to my attention that a landscaping supply company wants to build on Prairie close to my home. I strongly oppose the proposal to allow the zoning change and strongly oppose this business being built next to my neighborhood. This will bring truck traffic that I guarantee will drive right past my house in order to more easily turn onto Route 47. I have small children, and it worries me that trucks both delivering and dropping off material are going to be driving past my house every day of the week. I also do not support changing the residential zone to an industrial zone because it will lower the property value in our neighborhood. This type of business should not be built this close to a neighborhood, and there are plenty of other locations in Sugar Grove that it could go. I would like this email to be read into record at the next village board meeting. Thank you. The next email is from Forrest White. To the Village of Sugar Grove Planning Commission and Village Board. My family and I have been residents of the Mallard Point residential housing area for the past 15 years. We and many other residents live directly off Prairie Street. One of the enjoyable aspects is that we live in a quiet, safe, peaceful neighborhood and surrounding area. The potential addition of a business on Prairie Street in close proximity to Mallard Point will prove to compromise the peaceful residential and farming community we currently enjoy. The following are my concerns and potential outcomes if the village allows commercial businesses to locate on Prairie Street. There will be increased traffic on Prairie Street from supply trucks, customers, and the business owners' own commercial vehicles. The added weight of these trucks will increase damage and degrade Prairie Street, increasing street maintenance and cost to the village and county. This increase in traffic will impact both entrances to Mallard Point in terms of safety for residences exiting from and entering onto Prairie Street. An increase in noise and air pollution for residents of Mallard Point, the Sugar Grove residences on the north side of the railroad, as well as other surrounding Prairie Street homes and farms. Once one commercial business is approved and established, what will prevent more commercial business development along Prairie Street? A precedent will be established leading to a dramatic change in our neighboring community. I would also like to point out that the additional comments in the land development application are flawed and not entirely accurate for the property. Here are a few points to consider. Our intentions would include, quote, our intentions would include harvesting walnuts from the black walnut orchard to sell at farmers markets, unquote. If any of you have taken the time to drive by this walnut orchard, you will notice how few and young these trees are. Production and yield of walnuts would not be of significant volume for some time to come. Also, if they are taking these walnuts to farmers markets, they do not need a special business location to do so. Next door at the Ogle Farm, they sell eggs and other agricultural related items at farmers markets and do not need to have their property rezoned to do it. Growing and harvesting alfalfa hay for retail towards local equestrian and cattle farms, unquote. Does the current landowner understand their yield on 6 acres? I can assure you as someone who grew up on a farm and baled more hay than I care to remember, this acreage will not produce enough hay/alfalfa on its own to support retail sales to equestrian and cattle farms. Hay will need to be trucked in, again more traffic. The other items mentioned, pumpkin straw, firewood, topsoil, and mulch, lead me to believe that either they wish to have a tourist/suburban type or so-called farmette retail business, which could again lead to increased traffic and easement congestion. There are many farms that are in the business of catering to city and suburbanites with apples, pumpkin straw, etc. We all know just how much business and traffic it takes to support those businesses. Finally, and maybe most importantly, is the landowner's claim that, quote, with this proposed annexation, we believe we can preserve one of the few farmlands left near civilization for many to enjoy, unquote. And the word intentions are two things that jump out at me. First, there are many, many farms in this area. This is not preserving, but further exploiting land for profit. Second, intentions have intended and unintended consequences. For now, there is the projected intention of a low-impact retail farm theme. That intention can be veiled or can change over time with more profound impact on the neighboring community. I do not know or have any personal animosity towards the individuals seeking to establish a business in Sugar Grove. The Prairie Street proposed location is simply the wrong location. Some parting thoughts. Why would the current owners, whom, by the way, are my fellow Mallard Point residents, wish to purchase this land for this purpose? Did they purchase this property with the intention of starting a commercial business when Prairie Street was not zoned for this? Because of current landowners' decisions To push through their agenda without understanding the impact to the neighboring community is, in my opinion, short-sighted, uncaring, and selfish. I ask this special use permit request be denied. Sincerely, Forrest White. The next is from Sean Mulcahy. I am in support of the proposed change to zoning. I'm very tired of the obstructionist nature of the residents of Sugar Grove to businesses. The concrete recycling plant I understand being against, but this has little impact to the city. The next is from Douglas Podgweit. Hi, my name is Douglas Podgweit. I live in Mallard Point. I am an 18-year resident of Sugar Grove. I'm writing to you about my concerns for zoning change request at 41 West 950 Prairie Street that is up for consideration. Please vote no to those changes and to allow a new landscape company to do business at this address. This is a really bad idea. It will cause heavy truck and vehicle traffic on Prairie Street and will lead to bad roads and much more noise for the surrounding subdivisions. Many Sugar Grove residents use Prairie for leisure activities such as running and bicycle riding. It is dangerous to allow this to happen and will erode the landscape and quality of life for Sugar Grove residents. These reasons are simple and the concerns are similar as to what stopped the water park and proposed racetrack from being allowed in Sugar Grove several years ago. Please vote no. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me. The next is from Mike and Karen Acosta, and this one does go over 3 minutes, so I'm going to set my timer so I'll know when 3 minutes is up. Dear members of the Sugar Grove Village Board, tonight you are being asked to consider a possible annexation of 41 West 950 Prairie Street and the approval for allowing business use on the land. I believe that your own paperwork indicates exactly why you should not approve the special use. The following are reasons enough to not allow the special use. Village staff requests the village board take into consideration that by supporting the reclassification by the county, the village would be supporting the introduction of commercial uses in an area where none currently exist, nor are contemplated in the village's comprehensive plan. What is perfectly reasonable in the county may be completely inappropriate in Sugar Grove. Bear in mind, the requested county zoning classification, F2, is a commercial/industrial classification for a rural setting, not an urban or built-up environment such as what is found in Sugar Grove. Once the property is rezoned, it opens the door for the introduction of other similar commercial uses on adjacent unincorporated property. The use of property on unincorporated lands will have an influence on the future use of property on incorporated, undeveloped land in the village. Rezoning this property for commercial use or for commercial purposes will lead to the erosion of the sound land planning decisions the village has made to this point in time. The village comprehensive plan designates the site as single-family residential. Contiguous properties to the east, west, and south are designated as single-family residential, and the properties contiguous to the north are designated open space. The village of Sugar Grove has plans for single-family development in the area. The land along Prairie Street is trending toward incorporated single-family residential. The rezoning of this property to F2 agricultural-related sales introduces a commercial land use where none exists and is not consistent with the village's future land use plan. I would also like to bring up questions such as how big of a truck fleet will be housed on the property. If they are doing deliveries, there is a need for large dump trucks. If landscaping businesses are picking up their own product in the mornings, they will have large dump trucks. Deliveries to the 31 West 950 property may have semi-trucks sized vehicles bringing in mulch, topsoil, cement blocks, sand, and other landscaping products. Think of the traffic flow on that section of Prairie Road. What type of damage will our roads and neighborhood streets experience due to the weight of those trucks? I've included 2 pictures of dump trucks that could deliver up to 20 yards of mulch. The pictures represent the size of delivery trucks. Consider these large trucks in your neighborhood on a daily basis. I heard during September's meeting that the size of the trucks would not be very large. The pictures I sent was an example of my experience. On July 31st, 2020, I had 20 yards of black mulch delivered to me from Kane County Landscape Materials and Supply that was the size of my delivery truck. That was 3 minutes, but there is more, and the village trustees have all received this email. So pardon me, I'm going to take a drink of water. The next comment is from Garrett Oros. Good afternoon. I support the annexation to allow the grow Firewood and Mulch into the village. I believe this type of business would be beneficial to all residents in Sugar Grove. The next is from Mike and Pat Fagel regarding the grow Firewood and Mulch. We support their project. Thank you. The next is from Mary C. Knoll, Kadika Road, Sugar Grove. We can hardly wait for the grow Firewood and Mulch to get up and running for fall. They'll have superior selections of kiln-dried wood for all our cozy fires, indoors or out. Vote yes on this slam dunk business. The next is from Andy and Meg Harden, 389 Edgewater Court, Sugar Grove. Emailing in support of their special use of the property. This business will be a benefit to the entire community. The next is from James and Susan Franks. We would like to voice our strong opposition to the Grove Farms annexation. We have many concerns. The noise and dust that would permeate our subdivision due to trucks driving down their unpaved driveway. Noise and dust due to landscaping materials being loaded and unloaded. The smell of mulch as it sits and breaks down. Truck traffic down Mallard Lane to Route 47 would increase as drivers learn they can't turn left onto Route 47 from Prairie. This landowner assures us it's not his intention, but if this land is rezoned, what stops the next owner from building something like a Kuiper's right in our backyard? We urge you to please vote no. We do not want this in our backyard. Excuse me. The next is from Tim Garrett. To whom this concerns, I am a resident of Sugar Grove and support the annexation to allow for new business, the Grove Firewood and Mulch. Thank you. The next is from Tyler Assel, 49 Carriage Hill Lane. I'm emailing in regards to the Grove Firewood and Mulch. I've lived in the village of Sugar Grove for the past 31 years. I'm looking forward to having a small, locally owned firewood and mulch business in our village. I feel as if this business will be very successful in our small community. Our surrounding towns have been fortunate enough to have similar small businesses like this. Now we will be able to spend locally and support a hometown business. Thank you for your consideration. The next is from Robert Hurst. Please consider passing the request as Sugar Grove has no mulch or firewood company. We drive to Geneva to get the quality of wood this company can provide. The next is from Leanne Sorg, 165 East Park Avenue. To whom it may concern, I am writing in regards to a new local business in Sugar Grove, the Grove Firewood and Mulch. I have been a resident of Sugar Grove for over 8 years and have greatly enjoyed living in this community. I support and encourage the development of new local businesses in our village. The addition of locally owned businesses in our community is an investment into the betterment and wealth of our future and future residents. I feel that the Grove Firewood and Mulch will enrich our community by providing an important service, utilizing surrounding businesses, and being accountable to the people of Sugar Grove. I look forward to having a business like this close to home and in seeing the potential that a business like this will have for our community. Thank you for your time. The next is from Carol Montalto. I cannot believe this annexation of Grove Farms is under consideration. You can clearly see the map on the village board site how dangerously close the access to this potential business is to the Mallard Point subdivision entrance on Prairie, being my street entrance, Mallard Lane. During a normal school year, there are school buses driving in and out of the subdivision morning, afternoon, and after school. Children have to wait along Mallard Lane as well as other areas of the subdivision to be safely picked up for school. After school, they are dropped off in the same areas, and parents hope they will get home safely. The danger for children will be immense with additional truck traffic this business will generate cutting through our neighborhood to avoid left-hand turns from Prairie onto Route 47. I don't care how many village signs are posted to deter these trucks or how much Grove Farms thinks they can keep trucks from driving through the subdivision. Signs and words will not be enough. People do what works best for themselves, regardless and without further thought. This annexation is wrong. It is a serious accident waiting to happen. I don't want it. My neighbors don't want it. And had signs of a potential business been posted to alert the neighborhood of this, more neighbors would have had an opportunity to think about this. The only ones who want it are the potential proprietors who live in a completely safer area of our subdivision and a neighbor of theirs. I felt threatened when one of the potential proprietors came to our house at 8:30 one night to steer us into accepting this potential business of his after he earlier contacted another neighbor to take his opposition off the neighborhood website. I have lived in Mallard Point neighborhood for 26 years. It has always been safe for kids to walk with friends, ride their bikes, or leave a school bus. Older homeowners are moving on, and it is once again turning into a young family neighborhood. It should remain safe for them as well. This is a residential neighborhood, not a business district. Say no to this particular business on Prairie, please. With sincere concern, Carol Montalto. The next is from Sharon DiNicola, sorry. Okay. Hello, I am writing to give my vote yes for the Grove Farms. It would be so nice to have a Mulch and Firewood. I live in Sugar Grove 20 years now and always have to go elsewhere to get Mulch and Firewood. Would be nice to support these guys opening their business and supporting them. Thank you for accepting my vote as a yes. The next is from Tom and Michelle Van Plu. To whom it may concern, as residents of the Mallard Point subdivision, we think the Firewood and Mulch business would be a great business for Sugar Grove. We welcome it close to our home and do not feel that there will be any problems. Thank you. The next is from Daniel Hansen. To the Board of Trustees and President of the Village of Sugar Grove. Pursuant to the adopted ordinance annexing, classifying as said, certain territory with inclusion of granting a special use permit for mulch firewood sales by owner Grove Farm LLC, in which I can cast my voice of opinion that I am in agreement of the said ordinance as mentioned within, and to be enacted as approved and rightfully ordained by the acting president and board of trustees. As a small business owner, as well as a long-standing resident of Sugar Grove, it is welcoming to see incoming businesses interested to place hold in our village to conduct a respectable business, which only helps grow the village's taxing revenues, but also attracts other interested in the same ventures to follow suit. Sugar Grove needs a well-planned business growth in our community and grapple the loss of tax revenues going to other nearby communities. In note, it is not easy, to say the least, creating and taking the chance as a startup business with hopes of success and growth for the business owner and the community as well. We, as the supporting community, must welcome, assist, and support these small businesses so all parties can relish in their successes for years to come and take pride in the community's decisions and accomplishments. The next is from Brad Brown, 138 Cobbler Lane, Sugar Grove. To whom it may concern, as a resident of Mallard Point, I was made aware of the proposed Grove Farms at 41 West 950 Prairie Street. I heard comments and questions from various neighbors and took it upon myself to become familiar with the proposed business. After viewing the board meeting minutes and zoning ordinance amendment, I found that the majority of concerns I've heard expressed have been addressed. I feel the restrictions placed on the business are sufficient to mitigate those concerns. In these unpredictable economic times, I believe the village should be welcoming new business to the community. As such, I support the annexation and special use permit being granted to Grove Farms. The next is from Mark Kreider. To whom it may concern, I am in full support of the Grove Firewood and Mulch business opening in Sugar Grove. It will be a nice addition to the community and a convenience that will assist to beautify the area with the addition of mulch in close proximity. The next is from John Koya of Mallard Point. Dear Sugar Grove trustees and members of the Sugar Grove Planning Commission, as a resident of the great community of Sugar Grove and residing in Mallard Point, I request your strong consideration to approve the annexation agreement between the village and Grove Farms. I have reviewed the proposal documentation, visited the site, as well as discussed in depth with the business owner. Upon review, I have no doubt this operation preserves Prairie Road's agricultural distinction, both functionally and aesthetically. Moreover, it will provide a resource within our village not currently available. With respect to some concerns that have been communicated over the last several weeks, I believe many are overstated and or unfounded, based more on preconceived perceptions rather than facts. For example, the total square footage of the 274,975 square foot However, only 5,000 square foot is proposed to be utilized for outdoor storage of both mulch and firewood. That represents approximately 2% of the total land utilization. The grow farm design is for the operation to be set near the railroad tracks, a considerable distance from a Prairie Road view, as well as minimizing any noise concerns. Every spring, we see mulch trucks delivering throughout Mallard Point that come from outside the community. If we are going to continue to utilize mulch to beautify our outdoors, and I think we will, why would we not want the infrastructure to come from our very own community? Lastly, we're looking at a business owner who is not new to this area of agriculture. In fact, he's an expert in the field with many years' experience. Most importantly, the business owner lives right in Mallard Point. I know this man, Mike Rippinger, and I know him to be a man of integrity with a solid work ethic who cares about Mallard Point and its future. Remember, he, his wife, and young children live here too. As a community, I ask, what better business insurance could you ask for? Trustees, we need business and sugar growth, and I don't think there's any debate as to that. Among the many business proposals and opportunities that crossed your desk, I believe this one closely mirrors the agricultural distinction and character of sugar growth. It doesn't matter what businesses get proposed. There will be those who oppose, and sometimes for very good reason. However, that is simply not the case with respect to grow farms. I ask those still considering this annexation to think deeply as to how we can support one of our own build a business in the very community he and his family reside. Thank you. The next is from Bill Ogle. Concerning the proposed mulch, firewood, and topsoil business operation on Prairie Street in Sugar Grove, we have the following questions and concerns. Has proper notice been provided to area residents of the proposed change to property zoning and use? More than one nearby property owner commented that they had only recently learned of the proposal. What are the proposed hours of operation? Will this business be open on weekends or holidays? Will the noise, smell, and sight of the proposed business operations create a nuisance to surrounding homes? Will it impact surrounding property values? If operations continue after dark, light pollution is also a consideration. What steps are planned to keep children from trespassing and being hurt? Will equipment be securely stored and material contained? This could be seen as an attractive nuisance for children. Has consideration been given to water runoff onto neighboring property? Some runoff containing hydrocarbons and other chemical waste will be detrimental to crops, and increased runoff could exacerbate existing surrounding area water flow and retention and erosion problems. Several area residents continue to experience flooding issues. Has the Rob Roy Drainage District been consulted? Will materials be screened for harmful insects? Example, emerald ash borer. Will it be treated with chemicals, toxins, and other contaminants? Has consideration been given to infestation by wildlife, mice, rats, raccoons, etc., that will find these mulch, dirt, and wood piles attractive? Has proper consideration been given to the increased traffic and potential for accidents due to semi-truck and delivery truck travel? Residents currently use Prairie Street for biking, skateboarding, and jogging, and additional traffic increases potential for people being hit by vehicles. Other concerns involve the busy intersection of Prairie and Route 47 and trucks using the Mallard Point subdivision to bypass that intersection. It does not seem that the proposed business operations fit the character of surrounding area. The existing balance of residential and agricultural property gives Sugar Grove a unique country feel that attracts many people to the area and is often publicly commented on. Adding what amounts to a mulch, firewood, and topsoil distribution yard could detract from this. Has this been discussed? It does not appear that the proposed zoning comports with the village's long-term development plan. This sets a precedent for future additional commercial operations in the area. Has the proposed business plan been fully developed? Are there any limitations on future expansion? What other products might be added to inventory? Additional details need to be developed and shared to fully understand the impact. Our concerns stem from this business impacting residents and our desire to ensure that our residents are fully informed. The last comment is from Debbie Macris. Sorry. Our concern is the trucks going in and out, such as times of day, and are they large semi-trucks? How often, most of day? Is there going to be some kind of divider between properties, noise levels, etc.? We are residents living close to that particular area and not sure what to expect. Please consider this. Also, is the property open to the public all day long or just the business owner? Is this going to be zoned business use then? Will it change in the future? Will there be public facilities using this also? We just don't know. Thank you for addressing the issues.
Okay, thank you, Allison. We'll close the public hearing and move on to appointments and presentations. Matt?
Yes, so Jen Martinson from Lauterbach is on as a panelist right now, so she will be presenting the audit as normal as we can be right now. So, Jen, you will be put over as a presenter from Allison.
Okay.
So that you'll be able to pull up your screen so that you can show the pages you were going through.
Okay, perfect.
And board, just so you are aware, in the email I sent last week, we did receive hard copies, so they all are in your boxes currently. So they are here if you want to grab them.
Okay, so let's see. Can everybody see the audit screen? I'm not sure. So everybody sees the comprehensive annual financial report right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great. I'm not sure what you're seeing. So it's a little unique. I know these circumstances, so I'm sure you guys have all become pros at this new environment, but I guess I will just get started. I am Jennifer Martinson, as Matt said, with Lauterbach and Amen, here to present the audit for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2020. I do want to start, first of all, by thanking Matt and Tim for all of their hard work during the audit. As any other year, I would be thanking them, but I think it goes even further this year because it was definitely some unique challenges in trying to make sure that we could all still work together and get everything done during the current circumstances. So thank you for all of your hard work. As the board knows, an audit is required to be completed within 6 months of the village's fiscal year end. And the purpose really of that audit is for me to be able to provide an opinion on the financial statements. And so we have done that. It was an unmodified opinion for fiscal year 2020, which is a clean audit opinion. It's the highest opinion that we can issue. And that really just means that everything that's presented in those financial statements this evening fairly represents the financial position of the village. So a clean audit opinion. I'm going to go through a handful of pages. I know typically I would just have you guys flip, but I'll try to point out some of the key factors. So that audit in front of you really has 3 sections: introductory section, financial section, and statistical section. So I'm going to go through some of the key highlights in each of those sections for you. So the first one we'll talk about is it's going to work for me. There we go. Transmittal letter. So this is going to be starting off the audit. This is your introductory letter. It's in management's words. It's a non-financial summary of the village. So some key information about the village of Sugar Grove. It'll have some major initiatives. I'll kind of scroll through here just so you can see you have that in front of you as well. And you will see the major initiatives is on page 8. So just a good place to non-financial information. After that, you're going to see the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, which was awarded to the village again for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2019. And I believe, if I'm understanding correctly, it's the 19th year that the village has received that award. So congratulations. It's a very prestigious award. It speaks very highly to the transparency of the audited financials that are being presented by the village. So again, congratulations. We do anticipate the village will receive that award as well for the April 30th, 2020 audit. So that'll be hopefully 20 years for 2020. Moving forward to your financial section is the opinion, which I've mentioned is on this page, page 12. So again, a clean audit opinion. One piece I really want to point out is MD&A, which is page 14 at the bottom there. So this is really management's discussion and analysis, a really nice narrative summary and analysis of the financial statements, again, in management's words. So this section is going to include a lot of key information of the highlights for the year, changes from last year to this year. I will pull up the there are charts and graphs that do split expenses and then revenues by source for the village. So just a really good place to start to have your kind of financial highlights in narrative form throughout the audit. The first financial statement I will pull up is the statement of net position. Let me see if I can show this better to you all. So this statement of net position, I do want to just point out, is government-wide overall and includes your long-term debt and capital assets. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I do want to point out your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, which is what you would see as an income statement, probably on a month-to-month basis with your financial statement. So annually, the village did have an overall surplus this year in their governmental funds of $385,000 with an ending fund balance of $7.6 million. It's specific for the general fund, that was $348,000, and I can scroll up a few pages so you can see in terms of unassigned fund balance in those funds, as all the other funds are restricted, it's approximately $1.9 million. I'll briefly show as well the statement of net position for your water and sewer and refuse fund. So additionally, this does include capital assets and long-term debt. And you will see on this page that there was also a change, an increase in net position for your enterprise or proprietary funds this year as well. Throughout the financials, there's also going to be these footnote pages that are going to come next. Additional reporting information. I wanted to point out one section. This will include capital assets and long-term debt. I know we typically discuss this at the meeting each year. So you can see that the village did have a significant decrease in their long-term debt. I'm going to switch my page display back to single page. So then we have your long-term debt summary here as well. Moving forward, we're still in that financial section, but you're going to have your budget to actual schedule starting on page 91 and then continuing on page 93. Specifically, we'll talk about the general fund again as the village's operating fund, and the general fund did come in under budget for expenditures and over budget for revenues this year. So those pages will also continue. You'll see here in more detail and scroll, and it will go through the rest of the funds as well. The last section of the audit report is the statistical section. So that's going to start on page 132. And this section is really, I think, really neat for the village to be able to see. It's all 10 years of trend information. I can do this. Trend information for the village. This is net position. You'll have, sorry, it's going to be a little sideways for some of these pages that are very big, but property tax trend information throughout the year. Major revenue sources and expenditures and things like that. So it's really cool place to see 10 years of audited financial information all in one place. So you can kind of have 10 audits all in front of you just in a handful of pages. So the other thing I did want to mention in the management letter comment this year, we didn't have any new comments. There were no new recommendations for the board. We did repeat the fund for budget comment just for two funds, the general capital projects and the refuse fund. And then that funds with deficit fund balance comment was implemented this year. Additionally, as I would every year, I would be required to communicate with the board if we had any difficulties during the audit, any disagreements with management or things that were uncorrected. And I'm happy to say that there were not. So no red flags or deficiencies that we need to report to the board this evening, and altogether a very clean audit for 2020. Any questions?
I did not have, there's a lot to take in, but it's very nice to see, and you did a good job of explaining. Jen, Matt, Tim, thank you for your hard work of getting all this put together. So Jen and Waterbeck and Amen can do their audit. Matt, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, nothing additional. If there, I know it's a lot of information to go over. So if there are further questions as you go through it, and I know it's a little bit easier once you get your hard copy to kind of see it all rather than on a computer, you can always email me. And if I don't have the answer, I can get it from Jen or get those answers for you. So as their questions come, feel free to reach out and contact me.
Okay. And how will the hard copies be distributed to the board?
Currently, they are in their boxes right now. I know we're trying to limit access in, so if they want to give me a call or email me, and I can set up a time to have it, or they can just come through the vestibule, and we can give it to them through the window. However that works, just to kind of limit the access to the building. But they can just call me or shoot me an email.
Okay. All right. Once again, any questions for Matt or Jen? Okay. Thank you very much, Jen. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Have a great evening.
Is there any additional public comments on items scheduled for action? Under tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes, vouchers, treasurer's report, ordinance declaring surplus property, acceptance of the CAFR, resolution to approve the replacement of an air compressor, a generator, and HVAC for Village Hall. Under general business, we will talk about the Firewood and Mulch sales, adopting the annexation agreement, granting the special use, and then resolution amending the new home permit fees, all subject to attorney review. Any public comments on any items scheduled for action?
And again, just as a reminder, if any of the attendees want to speak now, they can use the raise the hand feature. Jennifer Hogan has raised her hand. So Jennifer, I'm going to unmute you, and then you have to click to unmute yourself.
Great. Thank you, Allison. I did send an email in regards to the parks for the Chelsea Meadows subdivision. I don't believe that was said yet, and I might be jumping the gun if that's something you're reviewing later, but I did want to discuss how that's a concern that the condition of the parks I found out are over 23 years old. Our population and children 12 years and under in this neighborhood alone has grown tremendously in the past 6 years. So I was hoping that's something we could bring up in regards to looking at updating those. There's 2 parks, so updating those parks in the Chelsea Meadows subdivision.
Okay. We were not going to discuss that tonight, but we will look into it and have someone get back in touch with Jeff.
And I just wanted to say, Jennifer, your email was forwarded to all the board members, and I did forward it to Karen Pritchard, who is the executive director of the Park District as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Sean, did you want me to read the other 2 or wait until the end? They're not on the agenda?
They're not on the agenda.
No.
We can wait till the end.
Okay.
Okay. Any other public comment for items scheduled for action? Okay, hearing none, I'll close that portion. May I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Any requests to remove an item, A through H? Again, any requests to remove an item? Okay, hearing none, roll call please, Allison.
Trustee Montalto,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy,
Aye.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Conan.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry about that. Motion carries. Under general business, ordinance zoning code amendment to special use firewood and mulch sales. We have a package before us. We discussed it last week.
So we need a motion?
Please.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second.
I'll second. Okay.
Here we have a first by Trustee Heron, second by Trustee Cook.
Oh, that was me. Montello.
I'm sorry. Okay. Walter, any updates to your memorandum?
No, I think pretty much explains what the issue is. We're amending the zoning ordinance to add mulch and firewood sales as a special use in the E1 district. There's also a list of additional standards and criteria that would be applied to this particular special use. And I would also, while it's not part of this amendment, I would also want to point out that in following board action for the special use for the particular location, we have even additional standards and criteria added to that location. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Any questions for Walter or any staff members regarding the specific uses and standards?
I have one quick question that I know it came up in a couple of the public comments as far as people not knowing about it. I know walking around the neighborhood in Mallard Point, when the topic does come up, most people are totally oblivious to what's going on. And one of the questions that repeatedly comes up is, don't you guys normally put out a sign if there's going to be some kind of, zoning change or amendments or something so we know about it? And I guess my question is, why did we not post something, or why did we not notify the subdivision? Given the times we're in with the COVID, people are not getting together in large groups, so the word isn't really traveling. No one's going door to door. The people who are calling in and complaining are the ones who are closest to it, who are going to, who are obviously talking to each other. The ones who voiced in favor of it either aren't from the neighborhood, or if they are, most of them live next door to the petitioners on the same street, which doesn't really get affected by the truck traffic. So my question is, is this something we could have done better to notify residents, and why didn't we?
Well, as far as the notice, as far as I know, the required notice was provided as required. The sign, it wouldn't be the first time the sign's disappeared after it's been posted, because we've had that happen occasionally. But bear in mind, the notification, according to the ordinance and the statutes, applies only to people within 250 feet of the property. So if you're beyond that, you're not going to get served a notice. And we're aware of that. And in this particular case, we made the effort to put it on our Facebook page to get the word out that something was happening. If we could do more, I don't know what it is.
So you're saying we did post a sign someplace? Because I've never seen it.
Well, I'm saying that the sign was out there at one time, and it wouldn't be the first time the sign's been removed.
Okay, where was the sign placed? Because
well, it would be on the frontage of the property.
Okay, well, I've never seen it, and I can see the property from my yard. So, okay.
Yeah, and I can just add on to confirm what Walter said, that the legal requirement is limited to property owners within a certain, number of feet from the actual property. So that's the notice that's statutorily required. The sign, is something that the village can decide to do or doesn't decide to do, but that's not a statutory requirement anyway. And of course, whatever the village wants to do, it can certainly provide more notice, but you then run into the requirement of being consistent, the problem of being consistent, for projects, because you don't want one project, you notify everybody in a subdivision and then have that standard, for every project that comes in the village, because you're incurring significant expense too. So, going on Facebook or, how you want to make that practice is certainly within the discretion of the village, and it's important to make sure that people have the information, but you just want to make sure you're being consistent and cost effective. At the same time that you're considering what mechanisms you want to formally adopt as a practice.
Okay. Any other questions, Rick?
No, like I said, I've pretty much voiced my concerns, and as well as the other immediate neighbors who have spread the word from the two corner neighbors who were notified. So
I've got a question real quick. Regarding the special use change on Exhibit A. I'm just wondering how many parcels or how many properties do you think would fall into the categories or would fall into these requirements other than this in the village? You know, because it has to be 5 acres and such. Are we going to have other properties that are E1 that would fit in these requirements that could use this special use?
Existing properties, unlikely.
Okay.
Future properties, other unincorporated properties, it's possible.
But those are unincorporated and they would have to go through the process.
They would have to annex and get the property rezoned, yes.
Okay. No, that was just.
yeah, there is one other question I have, if I could. I don't know if this would be for Walter or Brent, but I know coming up in our discussion items is Metronet, and I noticed that there was an issue with them asking about a gravel surface for their cables and told that we don't permit that. But in this case, the gravel driveway is permitted. And last week or 2 weeks ago, Brent, you said that this is it was a special kind of situation because it was a shared driveway. And I guess my question is, who's it shared with and who owns the driveway?
Well, if I can, before we answer that, which I'll defer to Walter, I just want to, back to Heidi's question. If I understood the question, it was, are there other properties in the village that would meet this criteria? I think the answer is yes. And maybe I'm wrong on this, Walter. Sorry, I'm almost drawing a blank right here, but is Rich Harvest Farm the same zoning as this?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, is it likely they're going to start a firewood mulch business? I would say probably not, but it's certainly larger than 5 acres and it does have E1 zoning. I believe the property next to the middle school, that 30+ acre piece also is E1 zoning. There's a property west of Carriage Hill that has E1 zoning and is that large. I'm kind of looking at the map and trying to make sure I don't miss any, but so those properties do have that current zoning. And as far as just the 5 acre minimum, they do meet that. Potentially could they come in under this and say, they would like to apply for a special use? Absolutely. So I don't want to leave it out there that there's no other properties in the village that could qualify under, that size and zoning requirement.
All right. Then if they were to apply for a special use, they would still need to go through a hearing or get permission. They couldn't just go do it. Is that correct? All right.
You're correct.
All right. Thank you.
As far as the driveway, my understanding, Walter, is that the driveway is on property that's owned by a completely separate individual, and the owners of this property have an access right agreement. I'm not sure if that's the legal, what they have, but they have the right to access through a private agreement with the adjoining property, is my understanding.
That's correct.
Okay. Does the village have some tie to this through our right of way when we did the water pipe through there?
Not to my knowledge. The village has an easement for the water main that goes through these gentlemen's property that shows up on the plat of survey that they provided the village. So to my knowledge, the village does not have any easement or anything on the driveway. And I believe our easement, I would look to, probably Tony early on this one. I don't think it's an exclusive easement. I think that, crossing, these gentlemen, it's not like they can't use that part of their property, but I don't believe we own any right of way over there. I think it is easement on their property, not the neighbors.
Correct. It's a utility easement that's on the western edge of their property.
We have the gentleman from this business on the call, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Can I ask them a question?
Yes, so Tom and Mike, I'm gonna unmute you and you can unmute yourself. They're on.
Okay. So I talked to a reasonably local landscaper and talked to him about some of the concerns that I heard in the emails that we received, like the smell and the allergy issues. And he said that with the size of business that you're potentially going to open up, that's not really something that would be an issue, but unless you had, if you started accepting yard waste on the property, or if you did something like, what was the other thing? Like a mushroom compost. I didn't think I heard any of those things. Are those issues that, or are those things that are you going to accept yard waste or mushroom compost or sell mushroom compost?
So Sean, we definitely are not going to be having any type of compost of any sort. The only 3 items were the items that were discussed, and that's topsoil, firewood, and mulch.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. That was, I just wanted to make sure that wouldn't be an issue, because I know that some of the residents had suggested that maybe it would affect allergies and there would be an odor. And so I know you guys have said it, but I checked with another landscaping company, and they said that this size, smell shouldn't be much of an issue.
Correct, Sean. Yeah, and actually one of the residents in the subdivision personally asked us that same question, because a relative of his lives very close to a business that does sell compost, and it does have a very potent smell, and that won't be the case for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for either the applicants or staff? And Tony, is Prairie Street, is that able to handle truck traffic? Is that rated for a 6-wheeler type load?
Yes, we didn't, with 15 trucks a week, based on our engineer review, did not see that as a big impact.
And so I've got 3 concerns, I guess, and I don't know if Chief would be the best one. I'm not sure. My concerns are the truck's trying to turn south on 47. Regardless if it's a big truck, little truck, like that intersection stinks. Like in a car, even in a car, that intersection stinks. So with that, on top of the issue, like if people start learning and that's an issue, or they already know that that's an issue, and they start driving through Mallard Point, those are my 2 real concerns. Taking a lot of the emotion out of some of the other ones, and then some of the things that I've talked to other landscapers about. How do we police that? Successfully police that, I guess.
Well, I see a couple of options. There can be a map that's provided by the owners of the property directing the customers to leave in a certain direction, and just notifying them that they're subject to citation if they turn left on Route 47 during certain hours. And then eventually, if need be, another option is to post signs at the 2 side streets. If they enter it, it's not local business only, then they're also subject to a citation.
If I could chime in on that, And this is no fault of the police department. They do a wonderful job with what we have. They don't have the manpower to police all this. Perfect example is the left turners on 47 in Prairie. I was on my way home today at 5:19, turning on the Prairie off of 47, coming from Auburn, to get on the computer and watch someone turn left off of Prairie eastbound and going northbound on 47, which at 5:19, it's in that no turn sign. I sit in my sunroom every morning, have a cup of coffee, watch the morning news, and I watch cars routinely go around not one, but two big barricades across the road. There's one at Brookhaven. There's one at Mallard that says the road's closed through traffic only. And I watch the cars go down there. And 5 minutes later, they're coming back faster than they went down because now they got to make up time for the couple miles they went out of their way. People do not listen to signs. The signs are for everybody but them. And unless there's a squad there, they're gonna do what they want to do. We can't have squads there 24/7. We just don't have the manpower.
Sean, were there other concerns? You had the concern of the trucks turning, or cars turning south, trucks going through the neighborhood, and was there a third?
Yeah, I guess in the last one is truly, I think the one person that's going to be the most impacted by this, or two people, I guess, because there are a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Acosta. I don't know. Like I've talked to Rick about this. I've talked to some other people about this. Like with the road, the dust of it, or like the drought that we've just had, the dust that we've had, is that like that's probably going to be all over, or it's probably going to go into his backyard, or the in and out traffic. It just seems awfully close. I don't know how we fix that one. I don't know if that's a deal stopper, but I know that's not going to be as pleasant to sit right next, or to look out your back door, or sit on your sunroom and see that. So I don't know. I guess those were my three concerns. Like I think my biggest concerns. I don't know if we can fix those. I don't know if really going to be a problem. I do know that we, as a village, tend to overestimate the problem of new businesses before businesses come in, and we do chase a lot of businesses away. Those that stay, I think we find out that, like the Chelsea Commons, or those apartment buildings, they said those old people were going to be peeping Toms, and I don't think that that's been an issue. So I don't know if these, I don't know. I don't know how bad this may or may not be, but I don't know. I guess those are just my concerns. I don't know if anyone else has any concerns, or anybody else. I don't know. That's all.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. The matter before us is voting on ordinance zoning code amendment, special use firewood and mulch. There's no other discussion. Roll call.
John, I apologize, but I got a text from Jen that she's having difficulty unmuting herself. So I don't know, Allison, if you can do anything at your end. Nope, I think you're muted, Allison.
So I clicked on her and it said, click to send their pin, and it said that her pin was sent. Oh, and she's chatting.
She says she entered the pin and it didn't work.
Sorry. Oh. Make prayer. Okay.
Do you think she should try hanging up and trying again?
I would try that, and then I'll see what I can do over here. But that's it. Just keeps saying it's sending the pin.
Okay. How do I leave?
Somebody's talking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, it wasn't providing audio on the screen. So I've left the video message. I'm sorry. I'm just now available on audio. Okay. So as long as you guys can hear me, I won't try to get back in the meeting through video call.
Okay.
So were we ready for the vote then?
I assume so.
Okay. Sorry.
Lovely. Jen, did you have any comments that you wanted to make during the discussion?
Thank you, Sean. No, I understand the residents that wrote in. I understand their concerns. I think the village has done a good job through the special use to address those issues. And I just want to let the board know that, and the residents that are listening, that this is a way to protect the village by having them annex into the village and them not go through the county, which they have the right to do, and then get straight zoning that could potentially bring something much larger than what they're proposing. So I think this was a great compromise. We asked them to come through the village so that we could put some strict things in place, and they've done that. They've been respectful of the process, and I think that, in my opinion, the things that we've done are good protectors for the village residents, for the neighbors that live in Mallard, and for the business owner.
Okay.
Could I ask one last question of the petitioners, specifically Mike Rippinger, because he's going to be working the site? Mike, are you there?
Rick, I know that Mike texted me a bit ago. He was having difficulties getting unmuted, so I don't know if Allison might be able to help with that.
I guess you might be able to. I know under the circumstances, if this does pass tonight, which I think it probably will, the issue of cleaning the street. Mike is, going to be the only guy working in there from what you tell us. He said one day you hope to hire somebody else. How do you plan on cleaning the street? Like after this last week when we've had 7 days, straight days of rain, and you have semis coming in and out of a gravel road, they're going to drag mud out on the street. There's no question about it. The farmers do when they come out of their gravel driveways with their tractors and stuff. Do you have equipment to do it? How's he going to do it?
So we have had discussions, Mike and I, about purchasing an attachment that would go on the front of the wheel loader that we have that would actually sweep the road clean if it became an issue. Though none of the delivery vehicles are going to be driving on any mud, so I don't understand where the mud would be coming from.
I would think it'd be underneath the gravel, because if the ground is wet, the mud's going to squeeze up through the gravel if there's excessive weight on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have all intentions. I know we talked to Walter about it, and that, we can be ticketed and fined if the road isn't kept clean. And if you ever drive past Mike or I's house, we don't, mow our lawn in the street. We keep our lawn clean in front of our own property, and we intend to do the same with this as well.
I totally get that. I'm just looking at the way it's worded, and it says it will be kept clean at all times. If it's a one-man operation, I'm just wondering how easy that's going to be for him, and if you have equipment to help him do it.
That's the intention. We've actually already been shopping around trying to find the proper attachments. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They use them for like sweeping the football fields for snow.
Right.
The big bristle brush that oscillates to sweep the streets clean.
Okay.
Okay. All right. If no other questions or comments, Allison, roll call. Started with Trustee Heron and Trustee Montalto was the second.
Trustee Heron,
Unmute. I think as long as we can police the trucks going through and not have an issue, and like Mrs. Montalto said, keep that neighborhood feel and keep those trucks out of there, I would vote aye.
Trustee Montalto,
As much as I'd like to encourage a new business in town, I unfortunately have to live with the situation and all the neighbors who do not want it. So I'm going to have to side with the people who have been opposed to it and vote no.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy.
Aye.
Okay. All right. And then, so that motion carries. I don't know if I need to vote on that. If I do, I would cast aye vote for this issue. Next item B, ordinance adopting an annexation agreement, 41W950 Prairie Street, subject to attorney review. Make it a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
This is the physical annexation of the property. Is there any new discussion?
No, correction, Sean, this is only for the annexation agreement. The actual annexation follows in the next ordinance.
First.
Walter, we're on item B, which is the annexation.
Yes, the annexation agreement.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yes.
Okay. On the annexation. Okay, hearing none. Roll call, Allison.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy,
Aye.
Trustee Montalto,
No.
Trustee Walter.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Item C, may I get a motion to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit? Oh, I believe I do need to vote on the annexation agreement, and I do cast an aye vote for item B. Okay, item C, ordinance granting a special use permit for 41W950 Prairie Street Firewood mulch sales, subject to attorney review.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Trustee Aaron, second. Any discussion on a special use and the conditions that were applied to the special use?
This is for how many years we're going forward with this? Is it 25?
No, the annexation agreement has a term of 20 years, but the special use permit and the zoning run with the land.
So it's forever.
Until it's changed, yes.
Okay.
But again, just this property.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please, Alice.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Montalto,
No.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy.
Aye.
Okay. All right, that motion carries as well. Thank you all. It was a good discussion. And we hope the business is successful and no trucks go into Mallard Point. Okay, moving on. Resolution amending the new home permit fee. Right.
Yeah, the idea behind this is was discussed to some degree at the last board meeting and certainly covered in the board report that the current contemplated resolution to the topsoil stockpiles in Hannaford Farm does include increased permit fee. As the board knows, I think it was back in February that the village established a village-wide temporary permit cap at $17,850. So this would lift that cap that's in place and increase it to $20,850. So the additional $3,000 could begin being charged. As staff has drafted it, the actual increase would not take effect until November 1st. The village traditionally gives some notice to builders if there's going to be a fee increase, just in case they've recently signed a contract and then fees go up, to give them that kind of notice. So that's the concept behind this. That the idea is to start collecting that fee, and not that houses are being rapidly built in Hannaford Farm, but there's currently 51 lots left. We don't know if any of those will come in before November 1st, but the idea being that if permits are issued, without that additional fee, then the cost would have to be spread over fewer lots. I do want to point out that Bill McHugh with McHugh Builders and Badge 323, I spoke with him earlier today, and he is requesting that this be tabled for 2 weeks. He would like more information, if you will, and potential certainty on what the exact plan and budget is for the topsoil resolution. In my conversation with him, we don't have that tonight, and quite frankly, I don't know that we'll have that in 2 weeks, because one of the big issues, and I know it's not really on the agenda tonight, is there are some unknowns with the project, and so we won't know what the final costs are, quite honestly, until the project is done. So Billy has requested that this be tabled. My response to him was that the when it's approved is not as important, if you will, as when it's implemented. So, if November 1st ended up being the same implementation date, whether it was approved tonight or in 2 weeks, from that perspective would not make a difference. Obviously, if the implementation date starts getting pushed back, there is the risk that permits could be issued without this fee, to help absorb the cost. So, I don't, I could say if the date's going to be the same, I could make the counter argument, if you will, to say if it's going to be November 1st, there's nothing wrong with approving it tonight, but I also respect the fact that, to the degree possible, he'd like a little bit more certainty before the board, does approve this resolution. So I think that's the background. I can certainly try to answer any questions, or anybody else on staff can.
Before we get a motion one way or another to approve the resolution.
I don't know.
I'll make the motion.
Well, I was going to make a motion to table it because I don't know that we do have enough information right now. Does anybody else feel the same way?
Well, I think right now you got 2 first on the floor and no second. I'm not a Robert's Rules of Order, so Laura, I don't know what we should do at this point.
Second?
Which one? No, I don't.
The first?
The first I did was that Rick. I didn't hear what his motion was.
I motion that we vote on it tonight. Didn't McHugh ask to put it off until tonight at the last meeting?
Well, at the last meeting, it was up for discussion only, so it was not listed on the agenda for any action, so the board could not take any vote at the last meeting.
Well, wasn't he supposed to meet with you guys to discuss it before tonight's meeting?
Yeah, we've had conversations with him, and we have not had a quote meeting in the sense of the idea 2 weeks ago was to solidify the budget. The problem has been as we continue our investigation on this, the budget is harder to solidify because there are unknowns. They may be unlikely, but they are unknowns that, quite honestly, until we start having that dirt moved under whatever way it's moved, there is a risk that there could be some amount of dirt at the end that is not saleable, if you will. What we've learned over the past 2 weeks that in projects in other communities, that these topsoil brokers that come in some cases, they identify some amount of the soil that they really can't sell, whether it's because there's too many tree roots in it or there's clay or something else in it or whatever the reason may be. Maybe it's too slow and they just say, hey, we're going to bail before it's all gone. The worry is that there may be some amount of topsoil left at the end that somebody has to do something with. And then if it ends up being, one example we were given was in a project in a nearby town, there was, roughly 5,000 cubic yards left at the end that they couldn't sell or wouldn't sell. And that had to be trucked off site, which, and I mean, I'm painting a worst case scenario here. So I don't want to make it sound like I think this is going to happen. Quite honestly, I don't think this is going to happen. But the, kind of the worst case would be if there's a, couple thousand or whatever yards of topsoil left on site. And if the scenario was it had to be trucked off site and potentially paid to be located at a CCD site, that could get into, 6 figures. Well, if that's not calculated into a budget, it's hard to say, okay, we're going to lock in $3,000 and that might get tacked on at the end. But at the flip side, I don't know that it's necessarily right to add that much contingency into the budget to be charging right now. So I think there's always going to be some unknowns, but, so while I've had multiple conversations with Billy, we have not presented him a more formal budget, if you will, just because it's hard to say, this is it, this is what it's going to be.
All right, then I'll withdraw my first.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't get my phone off mute. So I was trying to read. So is the consensus now? I would say once you have a motion to table, if you want the motion, that would take precedent. So you'd vote on the motion to table first, unless that gets withdrawn, in which case if you wanted to vote on it tonight, you'd withdraw the motion to table and then vote on the motion to approve.
So we have a first from Ted to table.
And I can withdraw my second from Rick's motion.
From whose?
Rick. So I was seconding Rick's initial motion.
So I withdrew and he withdrew. What you have now is Ted saying put it off as a first. You need a second.
And to clarify, I believe what you want to do is postpone, not table. And again, it's a distinction that usually the board doesn't make, but postponing would be to a date certain where you're saying the next board meeting would be the appropriate time versus some indefinite time that you don't want to consider.
So are you looking for Ted to amend his motion to a postponement to the next meeting?
If that is what he's seeking to do, which I believe is his intention, then yes.
Yes, I'll amend my motion to postpone it until the next meeting.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Montalto,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lindy.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Moving on, discussion items, Metronet Dugan Road Warehouse TIF redevelopment agreement. This is being presented by Walter.
Yeah, Metronet, make a long story short, Metronet is interested in acquiring the property at 20 South Dugan Road in order to consolidate all their construction offices in the area. One of the improvements they need to make to the property is they need to construct a storage yard to accommodate their fiber optic supplies, namely the reels of fiber optic cable and handhold boxes and things like that. They originally wanted to just use gravel as a surface, but we don't allow gravel surface areas for outdoor storage. And they kind of balked at that. And one of the reasons they don't want to use asphalt is, as you can imagine, and I provided a picture of what these reels look like. If you place those on pavement, particularly in the summer, the weight of those combined with the heat will allow the reels to sink into the asphalt, eventually destroying the asphalt. So that's why they don't want to use asphalt. We countered with, the alternative is to use concrete where all the weight is. You don't have to concrete the entire yard, just where the weight of the reels is going to be placed. And upon review, they recognized that made a lot of sense, but they have gotten some cost estimates from local contractors to do the work, and it's fairly expensive to pave the yard and put in these concrete strips. So what they're asking for is consideration of some TIF benefits, TIF money, to be applied to the excess cost to put in the concrete strips to support the weight of the cable reels in the storage yard. And it amounts to $59,562 and change. And there is money in TIF 1 to accommodate the request.
I don't know if you've been by the corporate center, you can see some of these reels outside and lack of on-site parking, so a lot of the vendors park in the street when they're busy. So this would be a nice place to put in an existing business, relocate them, make them a permitted use, make them follow our ordinance. And there is some talk of opening up a retail section, if possible, for clients to bring in or pick up and drop off internet hardware, like remote controls and things like that. So as you can see where it says 20, that's AIS current building out on Dugan Road. And there's quite a bit of property that goes with that building.
So if the board is supportive of the request, we will prepare the necessary paperwork and the ordinances necessary to expend TIF money, and we'll bring that to the board at the next meeting.
I think time's of the essence. They'd like to get this property contract closed so they can make the improvements still this fall and get this up. Any comments?
Okay, let's get it moving forward.
Okay. All right. If no objections, direct staff to prepare the necessary documentation. Okay, thank you. Moving on to reports. Any questions for staff regarding their staff reports? Okay. Maybe something to bring up at a staff meeting is Halloween. I think there's been a lot of communities starting to talk about it, whether it be allowed. We don't really have an ordinance that controls it, but I think people will be looking for direction. And maybe one is The community is open to Halloween, but people that don't want people to come to their front door, you leave the coach lights off. But we might want to see what type of guidelines are being posted out there, CDC or the Illinois Health Department.
Well, I certainly hope we do a Halloween this year. Again, if people don't want to participate, they can not put their lights on. So I hope we go forward with not trying to shut down Halloween for this.
Yeah, it is something that we've had just some very initial conversation about at the staff level. But yeah, we can certainly plan to come in the next 2 weeks back with a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments for staff? Tony, that 47 and the list is looking great.
Yes, they got it striped out today. Hopefully by the end of the month they get the actual permanent traffic signals activated. They have to coordinate that with IDOT. But as far as the function of the intersection with the temporary traffic signals, it's functioning with the double left turn lanes the way that it will in the permanent configuration. And now that it's striped, it's a huge improvement to the traffic through that intersection.
It really is. The green arrow could be a little longer, but maybe it'll come down the road.
Well, that'll probably straighten out when the permanent signals are in, and then it'll run its own timer on all of that. But it will be interconnected with the traffic signals at 47 and Galena, 47 and Cross. So they do balance that out through the computer system.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Hearing none. Trustees, Trustee Conan, Jen, any comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Ted, any comments?
I just want to put in one more plug for Pro Halloween. These kids need to get out and have a little bit of fun. So I don't want to rain on that parade, or I just hope we can have something, if we need to have some rules in place as a village, then I hope it's something that we can accommodate this year and let these guys go out and have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Sean?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Heidi?
Nothing to report.
Rick?
Nope, nothing.
Brian?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. President's report. I was fortunate enough to be a participant in the Fox Valley Marine Golf outing over at Bliss Creek on August 12th. And they called and said that they'll be making a contribution of nearly $2,000 to the Between Friends Food Bank. So very nice compliment from the Fox Valley Marine Corps. And talked to Sherry Frieders, who's the director over there, and she's excited and hopes to do a little press release regarding that contribution. So it's a good cause. Okay. That's all I had. Allison, I believe you had a couple of public comments to read.
Yes. The first is from Jeff and Elizabeth Failing. My name is Jeff Failing. My wife and myself are new residents to Sugar Grove. We are very excited to be here, but are very concerned over the fact that we can't go solar because you can see the panels from the road. I would think that the concern over rising energy costs and the demand for renewable energy would outweigh any cosmetic appearances that flat-lying panels would create. This ordinance seems outdated, and with ComEd needing to transition over to renewable energy, you would think the government would support the use of solar energy, especially since it would raise property values. We would love for the board to look at this, and a response would be nice. The next is from Judy Childress regarding the boundary agreement with Auburn. In the August 4th, 2020 board meeting, President Michaels addressed the boundary agreement discussion with Auburn during the President's comment portion of the meeting. President Michaels indicated in a meeting with Auburn officials, they made clear they would not be willing to discuss a boundary agreement until the Auburn updated comprehensive plan has been approved. Per the Kane County Chronicle article by Jacob Bartleson, dated September 9th, the Auburn Board approved the updated comprehensive plan in their September 8, 2020 meeting. With the updated comprehensive plan in Auburn approved, and therefore the holdup to the boundary agreement removed, has there been any contact made since September 8th with Auburn officials regarding a boundary agreement between the two villages? When is the next meeting between the Village of Sugar Grove and Auburn officials to discuss the boundary plan? I appreciate the efforts of Village of Sugar Grove trustees and officials to make this boundary agreement a priority. Thank you for your time.
Allison, regarding that, staff has reached out to Auburn, and Auburn does not want to meet at this time. Respond to Ms. Childers.
Sean, I don't know if it may have been clear earlier, the earlier comment regarding the parks, and I guess I'm looking at Walter and Tony just to verify. I believe both those parks are owned by the Sugar Grove Park District, and as Allison had said, she has, made that comment, forwarded it to the Park District. So I think on that one, I don't know that there's any, action or anything for the village to do, but just wanted to clarify that tonight, that they are not village parks, they are Park District parks.
And that's what I was thinking when Jen commented, and if we could follow up with her, Judy, and others when we do receive emails like this.
All right. And then, Walter, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you have any comment on the solar question. I believe the comment is correct that we do not allow the panels on the roof of the building facing the street. And I think that ordinance is 12, 18 months old, or is it longer than that the village approved it? I think you're muted.
I was testing you. Yes, you are correct.
So I guess on that one, we certainly don't need an indication tonight, but, it would be up to the board as to whether you wanted to take a fresh look at that ordinance requirement or not. So I would just say that, if it turns out any of you want it placed on an agenda for discussion, let us know. Otherwise, they do understand the ordinance as written. So other than acknowledging that we shared it with the board, I don't know there's anything we can do unless at some point you want to take a fresh look at it.
I would, just because I know that there are a lot of nicer looking solar panels in the architectural industry, and that's something we might want to look at.
Okay.
Don't they make roof tiles out of solar panels now?
Yeah.
They look like regular shingles.
Right?
Yeah. Tesla has some that look really sweet.
Maybe you could supply Walter with some details to those. I have not seen good looking ones yet, but things are changing. So maybe we could take a month or so and get some new information and then bring it back.
Yeah, I sure will. Yep.
Okay. Allison, is there another letter?
No, the third one was the park that was, she was on the phone earlier, so.
Okay. Any other public comments? I'm not sure if anybody else is in attendance.
Well, there's only one person left, and if he wants to raise his hand and talk, but I don't think he does. I think he's just listening.
Okay. Mr. Wolf is not here to present an airport report, so there's no airport report. Is there a need to go to closed session? No? Okay. May I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Alice.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy,
Aye.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Walter.
Aye.
Okay, I have it on my calendar that the next meeting is October 6th, so we have roughly 3 weeks till the next meeting. So enjoy the time off and see you all soon. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Night.
Thank you.